Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Anvil Legend 826 here. So I'm giving my thoughts about the third episode of the fifth season of Riverdale, which was called Chapter 79, Graduation. Yeah, Graduation. That's the title of the episode. So in this episode, you can pretty much figure out what's happening. The gang, the core four, Archie, Betty, Veronica, Jughead, Cheryl, Tony, Kevin, all of them are supposed to graduate. Supposed to be because there's a twist coming up. So, anyways, Jughead and Archie still don't know for sure if they're graduating or not. They have to find out from Principal Weatherby about their final confirmation. And Jughead blames himself because of what happened with Jellybean, because Jellybean was the one who was sending out the tapes, and Jughead told Jellybean to come over to Riverdale, and he ended up neglecting her. However, Betty tries to convince Jughead that it's not his fault because Jughead was fighting for his life at Stonewall Prep. He was under intense pressure, and there wasn't enough time to help Jellybean. So of course it wasn't Jughead's fault. But of course, he still feels remorse. Not surprising. So Jughead, Archie, Tom Keller, and FP, they all try to find the culprits responsible, for what happened. The kids that were helping Jellybean were all hiding out at Archie's community center, so they found them there. And then FP and Alice talk about what they're going to do with Jellybean. Alice suggests counseling, but FP has another idea, to send Jellybean over to Toledo with her mother. But then FP and Alice are wondering what will happen with FP, because FP might have to leave Riverdale to go to Toledo to help Jellybean and to be with Jellybean and Gladys. But FP says he'll have to wait. He'll have to decide about that. And Archie, meanwhile, has a dream, about FP. Now we know in the first episode of the second season of Riverdale, in which Fred was shot by the Black Hood, he had a couple of visions, and in those visions, they actually predicted the future. Fred said that he thought he wouldn't live to see this day, Archie's graduation. But then we actually found out that it's actually true. He's not going to live to see the day because because the actor died in real life. So of course they predicted the future there. So Archie wakes up from that nightmare, obviously haunted by it, And obviously, that makes him feel bad about that. And Mary is busy preparing Archie's graduation gown, but Archie still doesn't know if he's actually graduating or not. But Mary thinks that he will graduate, despite everything that's been going on, but they have to go to the office and find out, So anyways, Veronica gets her graduation gift from her parents, some pearls, and it makes Veronica think about her first day in Riverdale, The gang, one by one, are all experiencing their own types of flashbacks, about their first days in Riverdale, during their sophomore year, when it all started. They're all getting their own flashbacks in a way. And Archie has a flashback of, meeting Veronica for the first time, being with Fred, being at the hospital when Fred got shot by the Black Hood, all that stuff has been happening. So, then, Archie and Jughead are both called down to Principal Weatherby's office, and Jughead is graduating according to Principal Weatherby, but Archie isn't graduating, despite everything he's done, and even summer school won't be of any use. He'll have to repeat the year. So Archie walks out pretty disappointed, but I mean, circumstances have happened. Even if Fred didn't die, Archie would have still had to repeat senior year anyway because of Hiram, so the result would have been exactly the same. So anyways, Archie and Jughead, along with the gang, they all check out Cheryl and Tony, showing them stuff from Riverdale High in 1945. They made the students from that time period made a time capsule. And they put several belongings in there, So that was pretty interesting to see. And also, so Betty comforts Alice, telling her that she'll always be there for her and everything and all that. Despite the fact that Betty is going away to college. And meanwhile, so after everything that's transpired, everything that's taken place, with all the twists that have been revealed about people who are behind the tapes and everything, so the gang, except for Archie, is graduating. Archie records the graduation song, and Betty makes her speech about how some of their parents and their friends weren't alive to see that happen, so that was unfortunate. So, obviously... Archie makes the song as they're all crossing the stage, and as they're graduating, before they graduate, Archie can't help but feel bad that Fred isn't there to celebrate with them because he sees his friends with their parents. But then Mary comes over there, so she's there at least, So the gang is all celebrating, like, they're all crossing the street with their diplomas. They're all getting their diplomas, graduating, so everything is cool. So everything seems fine for a moment, and the graduation ceremony is over, and then Penelope tells Charlotte she's turning herself over, she's turning herself in, and she's gonna turn herself in for some of the crimes she committed, so that Hiram might take care of her in her prison, in his prison. So Penelope is going to jail, thank God. Yeah, not really a fan of Penelope, honestly. So anyways, the graduation ceremony is taking place, and FP reveals to Alice that he's going to Toledo with Jellybean and Gladys. He's going to take care of them there. So FP and Alice share one final romantic moment. This also explains why Skeet Ulrich, why he's leaving Riverdale, because he's not going to be a regular for the rest of season 5. And Marisol Nichols, same thing. She's becoming a housewife in New York City, I think. So yeah, she's taking a long break. So everything seems to be fine. The Grand Gang is graduating. They're all going their separate ways. But then Archie reveals that he's going to join the army, and Veronica doesn't like that, so she ends up going home, upset. But then Betty and Jughead come together, and Betty tells Jughead about what happened with her and Archie. Well, that's why Archie and Veronica have been acting strange on each other, and Jughead and Betty just end up kissing. Jughead, of course, is willing to forgive and forget easily. Well, maybe not forget, but forgive easily at least. So Archie and Veronica get together one last time, And then the four of them meet up, and they all agree to meet at Pop's once a year. But unfortunately, they never do because they're all busy with stuff and obligations. They all have their own schedules. They have all their own things to do. Archie's busy at war, and Betty's busy doing her own thing. So they're all doing their own careers and their own paths. And ultimately, it is what it is. Honestly, you can't cheat on your girlfriends too many times. Expect there not to be consequences. It's unfortunate truth, but that's what happens. Your actions will have consequences. You will reap what you sow, and that's what we see here. So ultimately, they brought that upon themselves. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Yeah, they all go their own separate ways, and it's pretty much it. It's unfortunate and everything, but at the same time, they brought that upon themselves. They shouldn't have done what they did, but what's done is done. So they all go their separate ways. They all graduate. They all leave Riverdale one by one, and then Jughead goes back there 1 year after their graduation, but they haven't shown up. And Pop says maybe they're just busy, But then 6 more years pass, and they still haven't gone together yet. At the end, they revealed that in season 5 there would be a time jump between graduation and their newest mystery. So that's pretty interesting to see, honestly. I'm gonna miss them being in high school, but the actors are gonna be playing characters their own ages now, so that's pretty cool to see. I'm gonna see how interesting things are gonna be after the time jump. How different things will be. How the characters have changed since their high school graduation. That's gonna be pretty cool to see, honestly, in my opinion. I'm looking forward to that. How is that gonna turn out? But yeah, that's all I gotta say. It was a pretty good episode. Pretty gut wrenching. Teary eyed, I guess, for some people. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Take care, everybody. Ton the Legend 826 out.